to Y2B Fit Talks, where we dive deep into the world of fitness, health, and wellness. Join us as we have heart-to-heart conversations with members of our vibrant boutique fitness studio right here in the heart of Philadelphia. Discover how our unique approach helps our clients build consistency and discipline for long-lasting health and well-being.
I think we're good. Well, welcome back, folks. Today we have Y2B Fit Talks. What's today? It is a rainy Saturday, and today we're here with Crystal, and our guest today is Nina. So, Nina, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us why you're here?
Well, I'm Nina Sachdev. I'm a client of Y2B Fit. Thank you for having me. My journey here has been long and at times very difficult. I am a mother of two. I live in Roxborough, near you guys. I was a journalist for a long time. Now I still work in the journalism space. So that's what I do for a living. So basically, my story started in 2015 when I was pregnant with my second daughter. And in my third trimester, I started to feel an incredible amount of pain in my right hip. And when I went to see my OB about it, he was kind of like, you've got a baby in your stomach. It's, there's a lot of pressure down there. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But I kind of knew that it was I knew that it was something muscular. It was actual pain in my hip. It wasn't really having anything to do with the baby. I knew that. And so, I had my daughter, and when the doctor said that I was cleared to exercise again, I started feeling that pain immensely. And I went to see a chiropractor who specialized with postpartum women, and I felt better for a while. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to go back to bar or Pilates. And the pain was just so severe. And I knew something was terribly wrong. And I also just want to say that I think the way that women's pain is interpreted and managed and analyzed by the medical system is very much a factor in my story. And I don't know if you've had this experience as well. I know other women have, but pain is often dismissed when you are a woman. And so I had doctor after doctor saying, I'll write you a script for PT, go to PT, and you'll be fine.
Right.
And I even had a doctor who said, I'll write you a script for PT, and I'll also give you a running program because you need to get in shape, basically. 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks after having a baby, it was like, you just need to start running. And I'm like, wow. I'm in real pain, man. I couldn't kneel down over the tub to give my baby a bath because I couldn't lean on my knees. I could barely walk. It was very painful. And so it's really important to call out that women's pain in the U.S. healthcare system, there's room for improvement.
Absolutely. There. And especially, as you mentioned, related to pregnancy and postpartum, I feel like even more so.
For sure. Yeah. And I struggled for a while, and then finally, probably in 2016, a year after sort of dealing with this thing, I finally found a doctor, and he said, the labrum in your right hip is torn to shreds. It's like a bomb went off in there, after finally getting somebody who had prescribed me an MRI.
And it took a year.
It took a year of just being like, hey, you just need to do this. You'll be fine. So I got my surgery in 2017, and the struggle after surgery was honestly just as difficult as the struggle to get to surgery, because again, it was 12 weeks of PT, you'll be good, and that's just not how recovery from surgery works. From any major injury, there were weeks where I just couldn't walk, my gait was off, and I didn't know what to do because PT only takes you so far.
Right.
And I just thought for a while that this is it. This is what post-surgery looks like. My surgeon said, you'll never run again. This, running isn't in your future.
Mm.
I told you that when I first came in.
Mm-hmm.
And so there were just a lot of roadblocks, and I just didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. And it's kind of a miracle that I found my way here and found you guys, because I feel like I can move functionally again.
Wow.
After 7 years?
Yeah. My goodness.
So that's amazing. I know, right? So that's amazing. What was the thing? So you keep getting no and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
What was the thing, or maybe a couple things, that really kept you on the track of like, I'm going to figure this out? Because I think a lot of people really, when they're faced with adversity like that, it's just like, shut down.
Yeah. I mean, part of it was I didn't have a choice. I had to keep looking for solutions, because not walking is not an option when you are a parent.
True.
And the other thing is, not holding your baby when you are a mother is also not an option. And I couldn't hold Sophia, my youngest. I just couldn't hold her. Even at, 15 pounds, it was too painful. And so that was number one. It was just like the drive to just keep looking for something that would make it better. And I think number two is there were some people along the way who kind of helped steer me. My first physical therapist before I got surgery was the one who said, "You've been coming here for months and I've seen zero improvement. You should really go get an MRI." And I was like, nobody's ever told me that before.
Right.
And then after surgery, I had a different physical therapist, and she said, you should really check out Pilates. Pilates, I can only get you so far. Go find an exercise that's safe and that will help build you strength. And so that's what I was doing before I came here, was Pilates.
Mm-hmm. I like the thing that you said. It's like, this just wasn't an option. And you made a decision. You say you don't have a choice, but you made a clear decision to be like, nope, I'm not accepting this, and I'm going to keep moving forward. And, in knowing your story, and you're going to share the rest of that, that was kind of the modus operandi. That was the thing that you just kept on saying, nope, I won't accept this, and I'm going to keep moving on. Because that seems to be a good common theme in what you've been able to accomplish through this. With that being said, what else helped? So you had a couple people that helped you along your journey, right? So a good thing for, clients and people listening and watching is, find an advocate. When you don't get an answer that you don't like, there's always other answers, and potentially even a second opinion, right? And you didn't accept that, those things, and said, you know what, I'm going to go find something that jives better with me, right?
Definitely.
So what else kind of helped you in there? So you had some people. Awesome.
I think my determination and my patience. I really tried to stay patient, just because when you think about life as the long game, you're playing the long game in life, right? You have to think about long-term results, not short-term gains. And so I knew that this was going to be a journey for me. I even knew, in 2017 when I got surgery, that it was going to be a journey, because healing doesn't happen overnight. First, you have to learn to walk again. I literally had to learn to walk again. And then it was starting at the basic, like when you're on crutches for 3-4 weeks, it messes with your gait. So it was like, okay, step one, learn to walk again. So that was a lesson for me. That's a lesson that I think I keep learning. And I think a lot of us keep learning, is that you have to understand that these things take a lot of time. So that kind of helped me stay in the game. It was like, okay, let's tackle this thing first. And then after we do this, then we'll tackle this thing. And then everything it's a process. And so, and also I think growing up, my dad would always tell us, life isn't a dress rehearsal. You've got one chance, right? And so the way that he raised us was like, whatever you do, just be the best version of yourself for you and for your family. And so that's really the thing that drives me, is that my children deserve the best version of me. I deserve the best version of me. But as soon as I made the choice to have children, I made a pact.
Right.
And that pact is, it's my job to be the best version for them.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, one of the most important things a parent can do, is to realize that you're not just in it for yourself anymore.
Mm-hmm. What a deep motivation, right? To keep pushing you forward.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the great things that's so amazing with that lens that you're looking through in your why is that it's cued every day in you. So the minute that you look at your daughter, it's like, oh wait, I know what I have to do. The minute that you have to do this next thing, or do this workout, or do this PT session, it's like you look at your daughter and you're like, okay, this is one of the reasons I'm doing this. And that's a lot of, what we do with clients at Y2B Fit is we say, live your why. And those things have to be present, top of mind and present, so that we can kind of continue on that path. So it seems that you've been practicing this for a long time, living your why. Is there anything else that helped you besides your daughters, and anything else in being consistent with this? Music or literature or things you read or mindset shifts that you made that helped you along this journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would say a combination of some internal things, and then some external things, like my husband, Harry. He's my biggest cheerleader. He remembers days where I couldn't move, couldn't get up, and he would like take on the role of physical therapist and massage my hip flexor. Yeah. He just is the most, I think it really helps to have someone who's always in your corner at home. So that's one thing. The other thing I think is internal to me. I'm a glass half full kind of gal. I wake up every day and I'm like, okay, maybe today isn't the best day of my life, but I have hope. And so I think some of it is just who you are, what your character is. Are you a person who sees the day as a day full of opportunities? If so, then you'll probably grab some of them. If you're not that kind of person, maybe you won't. Right. So I just, I bring levity and lightness to my life.
Mm-hmm. That positive mindset really helps too. When you see like such a long journey ahead, like recovery.
Yeah. I think the positive mindset helps too when you're in an incredibly negative mindset, because those days happen. Dark days happen. It's a part of life. But who you are, what position you start from, helps you navigate those dark days.
Right.
And a lot of people say that, like, when you have these journeys and challenges, that it's like character revealing. So what was one thing, or maybe a couple of the two things that you learned about yourself kind of like through this process?
That is a tough one. I would say one thing that I've learned is that I actively reject the label of being a superhero mom. I don't want to be a superhero mom because I don't want society or the world or whoever it is. I don't want people to think that you have to be a superhero to be successful. I just want to be a woman who takes care of her family and works out and watches TV whenever I want. And if that means not doing the laundry, and like right. 18 other tasks. So I don't know if other people feel that way. You're a mom. I don't know if you feel that way. Like I reject that label sometimes. Right. It's like, just leave me alone. I don't want to be a superhero in your eyes. I just want to be me, Right.
And it has this like unrealistic expectation you have to try to keep up with.
Yes. I reject those expectations.
That's good.
Like whether or not I think of myself as a badass, that's for me to decide.
Right.
But I would say the other thing is patience. I'm a very patient person. And you have to be when you're coming back from an injury, or if you're doing anything that's hard.
Mm.
So important in the process of like working out in general. I think a lot of people want that quick fix of like, okay, well, what's going to get me there in 2 weeks or a month? And it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I mean, I want a quick fix too.
Right.
But
we all do. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm willing to work at it.
What are some of the things that made you really patient?
I'm a first generation American, so both of my parents are immigrants. And this is very common in immigrant families, that the way that children are raised, it's like, keep your eye on the prize. You work, work. You find success, you work some more, and that's life. But the other thing that my dad instilled in us was that, yes, you're going to work and you're going to work hard, but also you need to have perspective. And you need to know, again, that life is about long-term gains, not short-term results. And he really hammered that home. He just had a very calm presence in our lives. It was like, even when you think something is going wrong, if you just sit with it for a minute and just be patient, whatever that thing is will go away and the solution will reveal itself. Or just he was really good at teaching us that things aren't as bad as they seem if you just sit with it for a minute.
Wow. That's amazing. What a great approach to mindfulness.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to live that every day. But I see in our society especially that people are just really obsessed with short-term gains, right? Like, I mean, look at the stock market. That's all it is, right? Short-term gains.
When getting to like working out, okay, before this, what did you grow up playing sports? What did your movement kind of practice look like as you were younger? And then how did it change and develop over time?
Sports were not a big focus growing up in my household because, like I said, it was work, right? Like, you study and you get good grades, and your job in this world is to be a good student and to find success. Especially for me as the oldest daughter, I had the added stress of understanding that I needed to grow up taking care of myself because, you know, my parents would be really upset if they knew that I was relying on any man or partner to live. And so independence was the focus of my upbringing. And so sports just wasn't like a thing. Plus, as you know, as immigrants, there was no football wasn't on in our household. You know, baseball wasn't on. I played soccer when I was a kid. I ran cross country for a season. I played basketball until I realized that I was always going to be 5'3". I played tennis for a couple summers. But none of that stuck. The one thing that always stuck was that my mom was a walker and I'm a walker. And so I've always walked, which is a really healthy thing to do. And I have a dog, so I walk every day and I really enjoy it.
And when did you start to find fitness? So you were a walker, you got done, you know, as you were young, and then you became a walker, and then like what did you try different things?
I never really hit the gym. I never really tried weightlifting. I never did circuit training. In my 20s, I found Bikram yoga. And I did that pretty religiously for 7 or 8 years. Wow. And, you know, I would do like 30-day challenges where I would do it every day, or 60-day challenges, and I would do it every day for 60 days, which is really intense.
It is.
Really, really intense.
All that sweating.
But it made me feel good, you know, and it allowed me to eat whatever I wanted to eat.
Sure.
And that is nice.
But the thing that I really liked about Bikram yoga is that it helped me maintain my physical mental connection. So I've always known about myself that I've needed to have physical activity in order to be okay up here. and that's still true today. It's probably even more true today now that fitness is like a habit. It's something that I do just like brushing my teeth. Mm-hmm. And so Bikram is moving meditation, right? It's just that it's also the thing that probably led to my labrum tearing in half.
Could be.
Yeah. We're not doctors, but
overuse injury.
We know what an overuse injury when we see them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just for, kind of the people listening, Bikram, you're doing the same, how many poses? 26 poses.
In 90 minutes.
In 90 minutes.
In 102 degrees?
102 whatever.
Ish degrees. Every single time.
Every single time, 90 minutes.
Yes.
And every day
rinse,
for 60
repeat,
days straight.
Rinse, repeat. Wow.
Yeah.
And that was popular at the time.
Yeah.
So
did you do that while you were pregnant? Or was this before?
I did in the first, a little bit in the first trimester, and then I started, then I had morning sickness, and I was like, nope.
I would imagine that would be really hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fast forward a little bit. So you've had the surgery, right? You started doing Pilates. Yeah. We're doing some physical therapy. Describe to me like where you were with that point.
I was feeling pretty good with Pilates. I was doing it 3 to 4 days a week. I started doing it in the early part of COVID. I think like a lot of people in COVID, and probably for parents, like the first few months we just drank a lot, and we were scared and depressed and traumatized.
Right.
And then it kind of got to the point where I was like, well, my hip still hurts, and now I'm drinking more, and now I kind of feel crappy. So let's cut this off. And a reformer-based Pilates studio opened up in Conshohocken. So not too far.
Right.
And I just thought, this is it. This is the time for me to start doing Pilates regularly, because before that, I just couldn't really find any studio that had the hours or that had a reformer, because I found that mat-based Pilates was kind of boring and just didn't keep me interested.
Right.
So I did Pilates for 2.5 years before I met you guys, and I was feeling pretty good. But I still had this sort of nagging, constant, low-level pain. And I thought for a while that this is it. This is my life. Like it's always going to feel like this, no matter what I do. And I just kind of ignored it. I'd go to Pilates, I'd do my workout, I'd come home and be like, ugh, it hurts. I gotta ice. Maybe I can't go to Pilates tomorrow because I have to ice and it hurts. So there was still a lot of discomfort. I was feeling a lot better, but still a lot of discomfort, still pain. But I kind of gave up a little bit and was sort of resigned to the fact that this is my life.
That's tough, especially after all, all the years of trying different things and then kind of finding this is where I think it kind of instead.
Because the physical therapist said, you should do Pilates. I think this would really benefit you. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm doing it. I'm a year in, I'm 2 years in. Why does it still hurt? Yeah. And so it was really until I met you guys that I started to think differently, that, oh, it doesn't actually have to hurt forever.
What an amazing feeling.
Yeah, it was like an awakening.
It's amazing.
Was there, so in the back of your mind, there was this little like, okay, this is it. But at the same time, something interesting you said was the glass is half full. So there, as you look at things, there was like half of the glass was empty, which was like, okay, this is it. But also that half that was full was like, there might be something else that's out there.
Yeah, because I never stopped trying, because that's who I am. I'll never stop trying. And so when the school had the gala, the fundraiser, and there was an opportunity to bid on things, your package was available. And I think I told you I was the only one who bid on it. And I just remember thinking like, what? This should be the first thing that would go. I thought I was going to lose. And I was like, disappointed. I had like it was like an emotional roller coaster. I was disappointed because I thought I was going to lose, because when I read the description, I was like, what is this gym? I need to know about this gym, you know? And when I won it, I was just like, fate makes better plans than we do. This was meant to happen.
That's such a great quote.
This was meant to happen.
You know, when you came in, we did an assessment, and, we talked about a lot of things. And I remember you saying to me, my goal is to be able to run again.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And I said, I can't promise you anything.
Did that surprise you?
What's that?
Like, at the time, were you like, I don't know?
So
I'm sure it made him nervous.
Yeah,
it always does, right? Like, however, the redeeming quality of movement and what it's capable of within people never ceases to amaze me. It absolutely, just when I think I'm kind of a glass half full, half empty kind of guy. Like I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And it just, things really start to surprise me. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, it's working. And I'm like, I know a lot or a little about this. She knows a lot more. Okay. She's got a graduate degree in it and all of it. But I've seen people transform. I think, and I believe that movement is kind of this keystone habit within our mind. If we imagine this beautiful arch with blocks, and there's the block right here that's kind of the keystone, and exercise, I believe, is that keystone habit. So when you move that block in the top of the keystone, the whole arch kind of moves. And in the mind, as we start to move more and become consistent and be able to do things, we're able to change a lot of our habits around us, and also a lot of other things change. And I knew that speaking to a lot of PTs and chiropractors and all this stuff, and it's like, you have to add a movement practice in after it, because that's really the magic. They like put you in a little direction, and then they're like, okay, well, now you have to go do all this work. And I know that we really try to be that place where the work gets done. It's slow and methodical. It's, we're going to do one thing, we're going to try. It's almost like a movement lab. Like, we're going to try different things, and well, that works. And we do experiments, because with experiments, we have a hypothesis, and we can fail or succeed, and then we can try it again. And that's kind of the mindset that we try to get around clients, so that expectations get easier. We don't have these high expectations of like, I'm going to run again. I'm like, well, okay, great. So we're going to do a bunch of stuff. Okay. If I need help, I'm going to add some other people in, but we're going to try some things, and we're going to see if it works, and we're going to keep trying. And you had the right mindset coming in, where you're patient. Okay. You were very much, I can be a turtle in this process, rather than run really fast like a rabbit and be like, I need this result. I need to be running again.
Yeah. And we hadn't even really scratched the surface of rehabilitating my hip before I actually ran that race. Mm-hmm. Like, I completed my 5K and only, 5 months into being here. Mm-hmm. And there's so much work left to be done on my hip. Yeah. So the fact that I was able to do it back then with just a few tweaks or few, I don't know what to call it, practices, exercises, was incredible. I just really wanted to prove that surgeon wrong. Because what he told me was so soul crushing. What do you mean I'll never run again? I'm like,
yeah,
I'm in my 30s. What are you talking about? Well, now I'm 41, but
yeah,
when he told me that, I was just like, how dare you?
Yeah.
Framing it differently may have even empowered you. Be like, well, it might be tough, but if you try really hard, maybe you can try again, right? Yeah. And it's it's a similar message, but the way it hits is so different.
Yeah, yeah. And it was only until my oldest, Mia, started running cross country, and she, when kids ask you things, you really want to be able to say yes, right? And she came to me and she was like, Mommy, will you run this 5K with me? And I wanted to say no with all of my being because I really didn't think that I could do it. And it was just that moment, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do everything that I can to run that race with you. And I ended up not only running it with her, but she's the one who needed to stop.
That's great.
That's incredible.
And I was like, come on,
Let's keep going.
I really want to beat my time, you know?
But what great motivation for her too, like, and example to like keep pushing forward and keep trying.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So you've mentioned your daughters a lot, right? And this is if we can teach our kids anything, it's the things that we did. It's like when you talk about you saw your father just say, stay with it, keep going, be patient, right? He didn't just tell you that. He showed you that. He showed it, yeah. Right? So with that being said, what you're doing now in your fitness journey, what are 3 things that you'd like to, like, if you could, 3 things that you could teach your daughters, right? 2 or 3 things.
Well, first of all, I think there are a couple of things that I want them to develop. One is to be okay with being uncomfortable, because I think for whatever reason, this might be our generation's fault, but kids today are less able to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think it's so important to be in an environment that is not of your choosing, and for you to listen to somebody that you don't necessarily want to listen to and just be uncomfortable. Because if you're not uncomfortable, then how do you learn? How do you grow? How do you mature? And life just can't be rainbows all the time. The other thing, which is something that I didn't learn when I was a kid because I was so focused on pleasing my parents, but I think this is really important, and I'm really only coming to it now at 41 years old, is that you have to fail. You have to fail. And I think children, especially our firstborns, are parent pleasers. And my daughter is very type A, and she wants to do the absolute best that she can do and please me. And I've tried to actively fight back against that and just say, it's okay to fail. Failure is a beautiful thing. Something that I wasn't ever really good at because I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to please my parents, and I never strayed outside of the things that I was really good at doing. And I want them to do things that maybe they stink at, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah. It's how we, like you said, expand our area of growth and our comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
If we stay in our comfort zone, it never expands.
Yeah. And I would say, lastly, I just want them to have perspective. The way that my dad taught me when I was growing up is to just have perspective. Life is long, and not everything is an emergency, and everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. Just be patient.
Awesome. That was incredible. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
In talking about fitness, it's really important to find somebody who believes in the same things you do. And I think that's what makes you guys so special, is because I've never met anybody in the fitness world or the medical community who thinks about life and fitness and health the way you guys do. And it's not about losing weight. It's not about, having nice biceps. Those are happy byproducts. To some people, that's what they're searching for. Right. But for me, I just want to move. I just want to be able to get up and move and do whatever the kids want to do. And you guys are really excellent at helping people see that that's what's important in life. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I can't even say that. Nina, I appreciate it so much. Thank you so much for spending the time. And we have a little gift for you, and we're excited for your progress and keep seeing it.
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you guys. So thank you.